Hi guys, Steve here, and I'm going to show you how to set up a group cluster of dedicated servers for Ark Survival Ascended. And if this video is helpful, please like and subscribe, thank you. We've already set up an island map server for Ark Survival Ascended, so you'll need to watch that video first, that I'll link in the description and at the end. On this video, we'll be adding a Scorched Earth server and linking the island and Scorched Earth maps together in a cluster so you can transfer between them. For other new people, if you're looking to host your own blank dedicated virtual server that you can install Ark Survival Ascended on, you can get a discount from a server company I'm partnered with, Ping Perfect, in a link in the description box below. Just use my referral code. Here's the specs and prices. Show menu in the top left shows it in dollars, pounds and euros. We've done the cheapest option to run one Ark map server, and when new DLC maps come out you can upgrade later. But if you're not sure how many maps you want to run in the future, just talk to them beforehand and they'll help you out with the best server option for you. Links in the description box below. You'll get 10% discount on your first month if you use my promo code. One thing to note, a server company will help you out with any support you need to deal with your virtual private server, like how to access it or sort out any problems, etc. However, they will not and cannot help you with anything to do with setting up your Ark Survival Ascended server files. That's because they're not allowed to, due to the exclusive deal Snail Games signed with their partner, to stop other server companies hosting Ark Survival Ascended. That's why we have to rent a virtual private server, then install all the Ark server files ourselves. So if you have any problems at all with your Ark Survival Ascended server not working, you will have to try and sort it out yourself, by googling it, asking people on forums, friends, or you just working out and fixing the problem. Right, let's get started. Step 1. Virtual Private Server Desktop. This is a desktop screen of my home computer, and I've pinned the remote desktop connection program, the Windows program you use to connect to your virtual private server, to my desktop. Everything's set up from my last video, and the connection info is already in it. So I just click connect. It will start connecting to my virtual private server. Its info will come up and it'll ask me to confirm. I click yes. It's connecting, and that is the desktop of my virtual private server I've rented. Just think of it as another computer at the server hosting company. I've just stopped my island map server that I was running and closed the program down. The Ark Server Creation Tool.exe. This is a program we downloaded in the last video that downloads and runs everything for you. And this is my desktop, how I set everything up when I was running just one server. That's connected to the depot downloader folder that it uses when you're updating your server. Then you have ASCT configuration, which is like the server tools preferences. All those three are linked, and they need to be in the same area or folder so they can work together for each server you have. Here I've created a shortcut to my island server folder where all the files are kept. That's where I've installed it on my C drive, and that's its name. I should have called it island map to be honest. And if I just go in the folders, into shooter game, you have a folder where all the saves are, then go in a config folder, Windows server, and there's all the .ini files that you can change to configure your server. Close that down. Then under that there's a folder that I've created to keep the backup server saves in. Right, inside the folders we have the entire save file from the server. So if anything happens I can just drag the save file over and it will completely restore everything to an earlier version. Then I've created a text file with all the event mod codes there, so I can just copy and paste them when there's an event on. Then underneath that, a text file and a backup of all my server settings. What I've changed just how I like them. I'll close all that, and that's my desktop how it is now. Step 2, setting up another server. Right, if I open the server creation tool and click open configuration, it shows you it's linked to the ASA island server folder. I should have named it island at the end, I just didn't think ahead when I was naming it at the time. Then if I open the INI files, these contain all the server settings for my island server. There we go, that's the server name at the bottom. Right, first thing you want to do is create a folder, as we're going to put all the server elements on the desktop in there. I'm going to call the folder ASA Island Server, like so. Next we're going to drag the server creation tool in that folder. as well as a depot download folder and an ASCT config file. And those three elements will be used to run your island server. They all need to be in one folder together, otherwise if you've got two server creation tools on a desktop, they'll use the same preference file, so you won't be able to create other servers. And now we've put them in a folder, the server tool can only read that preference file that we've made for the island map. You can use the same server creation tool, or you can go to the website that I'll link in the description box below and check if there's a newer version, and you only need to download the small exe file. I've already got the latest version, so I don't need to replace my old ones. So we've finished our preparation and we've put the three elements we need in the folder to run the island map server. Next, what you want to do is create a new folder, as we're going to use this to put in all the elements to run the Scorched Earth map server. Let's call it ASA Scorched Earth Server. What you want to do next is put your server creation tool exe in that folder, either a new one you've downloaded, but we're just going to copy the one from the island folder. So we've opened the island folder, select the server creation tool exe, right click it, go down and copy it. Then you want to open the Scorched Earth folder, hold the right mouse button, go down and paste a copy of that program into that folder. So now we have two Ark server creation tools.exes in two separate folders. Just to make things easier, I'm going to rename the one in the Scorched Earth folder Scorched Earth, put that at the end. Then the one in the island folder, I'm going to rename to have island on the end. Like so. Now I'm going to go in the Scorched Earth folder, open up the server creation tool, and you'll notice that it's not linking to the correct game folder. So click on Browse. I'm going to go to C drive. That's the main ASA Island server folder that holds all its server files. So we need to create a new folder to put our Scorched Earth server files in. I'm going to call this folder Ark ASA Scorched Earth. Right, that's done, so I'm going to select it as the main folder to download all the Scorched Earth server files into. You see it's changed on the game folder destination, so save that and click on Save Config. That will bring up your updater. Click the Update Game Files button, and it will now download all the files you need to create a server. It will take a while because there's quite a lot of them. I thought you might have to download different versions of a server creation tool, like one to download all the server files for the island map, and a separate one to download all the files for a Scorched Earth server. But you don't, as it downloads all the files for Ark Survival Ascended, and if new maps have been added, it downloads those as well. Then you choose which maps you want to run for a server later on. This is going to take a while, so I'm going to skip forward a bit. There we go, it's almost done. It'll close when it's finished and tell you it's complete. Click the continue button, just drag that to the side. Then I'm going to open the config, and as you see it's linking to the correct folder, so I'm going to click save. Next you want to click on open gus.ini config. It will say the file's missing, so it'll ask you to create one. Click yes, and that will create a basic server settings ini file. Close that. Then click on Open Game ini config. Again, it will say it's missing. And do you want to create one? Click yes. This is where you'll put your breeding settings. Close that down. And you'll now notice in your Scorched Earth desktop folder, the server creation tool has created two more files. The depot downloader and the ASCT config file, which your Scorched Earth server creation tool will use for its download folder and its preferences, just like you have in the island map folder. Next, to get things nice and organised, I'm going to go to my computer and drive C. And there's the Ark server folders. I'll go to the Scorched Earth one. Create a shortcut of that. Go down the bottom. So I can put it on my desktop. So I can open this folder anytime I want to. Step 3, copying server settings. Now we're going to copy the island server settings onto the Scorched Earth server. We go to Shoot a Game, saved, config, Windows Server, and that's the Scorched Earth server INI files that were created with basic settings. That one was empty, and most of the extra settings were missing on this one. It's got no passwords and the server name remains as its default. So what we're going to do is copy the code lines from the island server and drag them over to Scorched Earth. I've opened a shortcut to the island server folder. Again, going to shoot a game, saved, config, Windows Server. There are all the server settings INI files already set up. See the breeding information's in that one. And all the lines of code I've put in that one over the months is in there. So what I'm going to do is select them, hold Control, and drag them over to the Scorched Earth folder. Replace files in the destination, or you could select the INI files, right mouse button and copy, select the Scorched Earth folder, right mouse button and paste. That'll copy them over the same way as well. And now we have exactly the same preferences on the Scorched Earth server as we do on the island server. The only thing you have to change is the server name. Open up the game user settings.ini. You open them up as a text document, by the way. Scroll down to the bottom, and of course the server name is called the island, because we copied that INI file from the island. So rename it to the server that it is, which is Scorched Earth. Then go File and Save. And the settings are done. Just close the windows and you're ready for the next step. Step 4. Create a server cluster. Right, the first thing you need to do is go to C drive, because that's where I installed my main server folders. There's Scorched Earth and there's the island. I right click on an empty space and create new folder. Then you're going to name that folder ClusterData. This cluster folder will be used to transfer your information when you transfer from one server to another. Think of it as a temporary storage hub for your character's information. There we have all three folders together: the Scorched Earth server folder, the island server folder, and the ClusterData folder. Next we need to tell our servers to find that folder. I'm going to start by going to the island's desktop folder and open up the island server creation tool. Then click on Open Configuration. I'll just open the lines of text I've prepared. I'll put this in the description box below. And this is the information we need to add to make a cluster. It's the island server, so at the start we have the island name. Then we have the server's IP port number. This might be different depending on what computer or server you're on. And the cluster ID tells your servers what group they belong to. This number needs to be the same on all your servers, so all of them connect to the same group. Instead of just having one number, like 1 here, I'd advise changing a number and adding extra letters after it. Because if you all have the same cluster number, you might be able to see other people's servers like you can here. So I've changed it from 1 to 1N. But you pick the cluster numbers you want, as long as they're all the same on all servers. Next we have the destination of a folder that will hold our characters and dinos information as we transfer between one server and another. That's why we made a ClusterData folder, and that's the address we need to link to it. And all your servers in the cluster need to link to that folder as well. Okay, I've explained that line of code. So copy it, I'll put it in the description below, and paste it in your launch augments. Don't forget to click Override Launch Augments. Check all the lines there, then save config. And that's one server done. Close those windows down. Next, open up your Scorched Earth desktop folder. Open up its server creation tool. Click on Open Configuration. At the top, you'll see the game folders linked to the Scorched Earth folder. Click on Override Launch Augments. Let's go over the code line. As you see, it says Scorched Earth, and this is the only code line you need to change to select your server's map. We've got the first server running the island, and this one will be Scorched Earth. We don't want both servers running off the same IP, so instead of a port having 77 at the end, I've changed it to 87, so it's on a different IP number. All the cluster IDs need to be the same number, so I'm going to change this one to 1N as well. It's up to you what you pick. And to transfer to a different server, all servers need to be directed to the same ClusterData folder. So that's how that code line works. Copy it and paste it into Launch Augments. Click Save Config. Double check that everything's saved correctly. Then it will load the Scorched Earth map when the server starts. Step 5. Start the servers. Let's start the server. Go to your Island desktop folder and open up its server creation tool. I've named it Island at the end to make it easier to remember. Open configuration to double check everything's right. It is, so close that. And click Start Server. This will start your Island server back up. I've already updated it by the way. I would wait and start one up at a time and wait till the other one's finished. As if you start all the servers up at once, it might overtax your computer. It probably won't, but there's no point risking it. As you saw, I just opened up the Scorched Earth server creation tool, arrange everything nice and neat, and get ready to start that one up. And I'm waiting for the little light in the bottom left of a black window to turn green. The more stuff you got on your server, the longer it takes to start up. Remember, if you're doing this from a home server, you'll need to open up the correct router ports. There we go, the Island server's up and running. Let's start the Scorched Earth one now. I'll just check its configuration files. Yep, all of it's linking to the right place. Click Start Server. The first time you run it, you might get a pop-up saying there's no exiting firewall. Do you want to create one? Click OK. And drag the server window to the side. That yellow text is nothing. It's only there because there's not been any mods loaded to the server yet. Because there's nothing on a server, it'll start really quick, and there's a green light. Remember to leave those windows open or the server closes down. Step 6. Backing up servers. Alright, to back up my servers, I'm going to create a new folder. Call it SA Scorched Earth Saves. Then go to the shortcut of the server folder. Go to Shoot a Game. Create a folder in the Saves folder. Saves 1. Then drag the entire Saves folder into that. With Control pressed to copy it. And if anything goes wrong, I can just replace that folder and everything will be restored back to this save point. Step 7. Adding mods. This is a line of code we added to launch augments. And as you see, there's no code for server mods there. If you want to add mods to your server, you'll need a line of code like this. And I've put a mod code after the port code. There's 2 mod codes there, and you'll need to put a comma between the 2. Then if you're just having one mod, it'll look like this with no comma. I'll also put this in a description box below for you. So you can just copy the line of code, then alter it to fit your servers. Paste it in a launch augments, and don't forget to click Save. Step 8. Find and join server. Okay, we have your servers running. We don't need to remote access your server anymore, so minimize the box, or close it. Then go to your gaming computer and log on to Ark. Click Start. Join game. You need Show Password Protected Servers ticked, plus Show Player Servers ticked. Then go to the search box in the top right, enter part of your server name, and the list of your servers should come up. Click on your server, click Join, enter the password, wait for you to load in, create your character, or transfer it from another server if you have one. It's up to you. Select a spawn point, and you're in-game. It's really satisfying and a relief when you get to this point, because you've set up your server yourself, well, with a little bit of help from Nooblets. So please like and subscribe, these videos take quite a while to make. Thank you very much. I've created a new test character here to make sure the server is working, but of course you might want to transfer an existing character over here as well. I'm now on the Island map server with my main character. I've gone to Green Obby. You want to click Travel to another server in the bottom middle. A list of your servers should come up because you've followed my instructions on how to set up a cluster correct. Click on a server, enter the password, it will load, and it'll ask you if you want to overwrite the character that's on the server, if you created a test one like me. If you didn't, then it won't. So remember, you only really want one main character, because if you transfer a character to a server, as you can only have one character on there, it will delete the one that's already there. So don't wipe your main character, otherwise you won't be able to get it back if you didn't make a backup. And that's how you set up your own dedicated server cluster. So please show me it was worth making this video by liking, subscribing if you're not already, clicking the bell notifications and all to get notified when I upload and stream next, share this video with your friends, communities, forums, etc. There's links to my Patreon and merch store, as well as a link to get discount on a virtual private server. I'll put a code lines in the description box below, and to Ragon's server creation tool page. Thanks to him for making it, and I hope everything goes well for you and your server. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the other videos at the end. Goodbye.